Oh, ready. Let me apologize. It's not our norm to start a meeting late, but our closed session meeting did take longer than we anticipated. Thank you for being patient and waiting with us. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anyone who is in need of translator services to Ms. Paula Balbuena at the podium.
Thank you, President Brown. Buenas tardes, habla Paula Balbuena. Si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor llame al 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 625-971-491 más la tecla numeral. Este es un número totalmente gratis. Nuevamente, llame al número de teléfono 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 625-971-491 más la tecla numeral. También puede acceder a estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web en mcs4kids.com, dirigiéndose a la parte inferior de la página, haciendo clic en Quick Links y haciendo clic nuevamente en Board Agendas para ir a la agenda de esta noche, si no estaré en la parte de atrás para servirles. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Modesto City Schools regular board meeting of October 23rd, 2023. This meeting is now called to order. In closed session, the board adopted a resolution to initiate disciplinary action against a certificated employee. The vote on this matter was as follows. The vote was 7-0, and the board members voted to approve. And in addition to that, the board did give direction to staff and to legal counsel on other matters. Let the record reflect that all board members are present. And I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. That moment of silence is actually pretty healing, and I appreciate the fact that we have a chance to gather our wits and to be prepared for this meeting. So thank you for joining us in that. So good evening, everyone. This open session of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district's website, and the recordings will be available for viewing the day after the board meeting. Modesto City Schools has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined on the agenda. The public has been given an opportunity to call in and leave a voicemail, send us a comment via email, or appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon the day of a board meeting will not be read aloud, but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the board meeting, and they are available to the public. The voice and email public comments will be attached to future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we always welcome your comments. As far as this evening, if you would like to address the board during the period for public comment on a subject that is not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card and submit it to the board president prior to the period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out a card. You'll find copies of the card in the lobby, and you can hand your comment card to Ms. Chambers in the back of the room. Ms. Chambers? Thank you. I will also remind you that if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district's personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby, as are agenda copies, which outline the procedures we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt the speaker from any potential liability for defamation. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out a card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. And the maximum time that we're able to devote to public comment is 30 minutes, and that would be a maximum of 3 minutes for any one speaker. This evening, I'm pleased that we have students from Fremont Elementary School, and we are so happy to welcome these students who will lead us in the flag salute this evening. So as I read your name, would you please stand? Students from Fremont. We have Isley, I hope I'm saying that right. Is that right? Isley Mariku. Sixth grader Isley is an exceptional scholar. She is co-president of the Student Council and previously the Sergeant of Arms. Isley participates in the Science Olympiad, school plays, and music. She attends the Valley Music Institute and enjoys playing in a band and performing. Isley is unsure of her career path following high school graduation, but whatever she pursues, Isley is destined to be successful. So welcome, Isley. And also, we welcome Ryder Baca. Ryder, would you please stand? Sixth grader Ryder is a role model scholar. He received perfect attendance and the Character of the Month award. Ryder is president of Student Council and a member of the band. He enjoys swimming, soccer, and reading books in his free time. Ryder would like to attend college and hopes to open his own bakery or floral shop. And students, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right hand over your heart. Ready?
Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
So it's so fun to have the students here with us. And next on the agenda, we have Superintendent Noguchi with her welcome announcements.
Wonderful. Thank you, President Brown. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Apologize for the late start, but hopefully we'll speed it up in the middle, and we won't be here till 12 or 11. Just joking, just joking. Really excited about tonight's agenda this evening. We have two agenda items that I'm very proud of. One is the early childhood education. That's one. And then the second one, teacher recruitment and onboarding. Both of these presentations really demonstrate our work over the last 6 years at working on the system and making the system a better system for not only our students and our parents, but also our certificated and classified. So very excited about both of those reports. And of course, the enrollment report also, while we're down a little bit, just a few students, we are making gains in the junior high level, which we've been working on for 6 years. And so it's kind of there's definitely some good news there. Something that I do want to talk about, another piece of work that I'm encouraged about, and I think this is going across Stanislaus County, but particularly Modesto City Schools, and that is our attendance campaign. I want to thank everyone that has their fingers on that, and that literally is everyone. That's the teachers, the front office staff, the principals, the bus drivers, nutrition services. Everyone is really working together to support our students in getting to school and welcoming them to school. And let me share a little bit of data. I think you two are going to be excited. First, our chronic absenteeism is down a little over 5%. That's huge. Now, we still have a ways to go. We're not where we want to be. But bringing that down 5% at this time compared to last year, that's wonderful. Our daily attendance is almost up 2%. It's like 1.7 something, depending upon the day, but definitely an increase there. I want to give a couple shout outs to some schools because there's some amazing numbers here. One, in the elementary realm, 97% or above. We have Insulan, Franklin, Shackelford, and Lakewood, which is pretty awesome to get 97. Our goal is 96. At our high schools, we have Enoch's at 96 and Gregory at 94. However, we just finished a Saturday school for reclaiming attendance, and Johansson just had a Saturday school of over 200 students. That hasn't gotten calculated yet, so I think Johansson's could be in the running there. But I am encouraged with the work that's going on, again, at the high schools, giving up another day to provide opportunities for students to continue to do the good work that they're doing. Very last, and then I'll close it up, we just finished with our benchmarks at the secondary level, so that's 7th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th through 12th for English and mathematics. Just finished that, looking forward to seeing the data because this is really our first set of data to see how our students are doing. I took a preliminary look at it today, and I have to say there's some amazing results there, and I will put some of that information in my e-news because it really is encouraging. Clearly, kids are coming back to school, and we're in a much better place this year than we were last year, and it really should translate into kids, our students doing better, and it looks like that's the case, especially with attendance and hopefully academics as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to President Brown. Thank you.
Thank you. Those numbers are encouraging, and we want to recognize that every student is involved in those improvements. So every student does matter, and every moment counts. And we look for ways that we can find growth. And thanks for the effort. That's wonderful news. All righty. Next on the agenda, we have reports from board members. And I know it's been a busy few weeks since we last met, so let's hear some great reports. I see Trustee Maestas as our first presenter.
All right. Got quite a few things here. So first on attendance, I also want to give a shout out to teachers. The teachers. So I really like the campaigns that we're doing with the prizes, and some schools are doing prizes. I think some districts are doing like raffles to kids that are coming every day. But if you really think about it, what gets kids in school is the feeling of culture and belonging, that's the place they should be. Like, you can give them Xboxes galore, and it's really, is that the place where I want to be today? That's what's going to get them. And a lot of that comes from teachers' connections and relationships. Music, arts, clubs, sports, those are all back and all going well. And we know we've got things like esports, which are getting kids that weren't involved in other things. And so all of those things are important. And I just, I'm so proud of all of the people that really go above and beyond to connect in relationships with students to get them in school. Speaking of those few things, I was able to go to Downey to their theater performance called Friendship and Kindness. And they had me laughing and they had me crying. There was one performance, it was a bunch of skits or sketches about being a good friend and how to have kindness among your friends, your peers, your students, and others that you interact with. It was filled with sketches and music. I took my son, and we thought it was great. I can't wait to see this at. It's a traveling show, so they're going to go to elementaries and junior high schools that have agreed to have them go, and the high school students are going to perform these for. It's great for elementary and junior high. I think elementary kids are going to love it. But they did such a great job. Their heart just showed through this performance. So I loved every minute of it. I got to go to the Enoch's homecoming game, and Trustee Mejia was on the other side, at the Downey side. I got to say, hey, you were representing your school. I was representing, I was there cheering on Enoch's, and we all know, I mean, if you were there, you know how that went. But I was super impressed by the kids that were performing during their homecoming floats. They just did a great job with the dances and the songs, and it's just I don't think I would have done that when I was a high school student. So that was pretty amazing. Yeah, they were really, and just the level that the seniors brought. It was like freshmen were cool, sophomores, juniors, and then seniors were like, oh my God, those are seniors. They were pretty awesome. I'm almost done. I swear. I did get to go to the MCS Marching Brigade. They had two competitions. The first one was in Dublin a couple of weeks ago. They took first place in the 3A category. And then this week they went to Gilroy. They took second place in the 3A category, but first place in color guard and in percussion. So they're getting better each time, and I'm really looking forward to state competitions, which happen next month. So cheer on those MCS Marching Brigade students. And then the last thing I want to do during my time here right now is on October 9th, we had a special board meeting, and we didn't have time to do this, but October 9th was Indigenous Peoples Day. And in recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day, I wanted to do a land acknowledgement, just to acknowledge the land that we occupy right now. So if it's okay with the board, just some brief statements. This is from CSU Stanislaus' website and describing what a land acknowledgement is. A land acknowledgement is a formal statement that recognizes the unique and enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their traditional territories. Naming is an exercise in power. Who gets the right to name or be named? Whose stories are honored in a name? Whose are erased? Acknowledgement of traditional land is a public statement of the name of the traditional native inhabitants of a place. It honors their historic relationship with the land. Acknowledgement by itself is just a small gesture. It becomes meaningful when coupled with authentic relationships and informed action. This is a beginning that can be open with greater public consciousness of native sovereignty and the cultural rights, and a step towards equitable relationship and reconciliation with our native brothers and sisters. So here's the land acknowledgement, if you allow me to do a land acknowledgement today. We want to formally and with great respect acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Yakut Nation. Our MCS schools and offices are built on the unceded ancestral lands of these Indigenous tribes. Thank you for letting us honor them and give our thanks to their ancestors and descendants for their constant and careful stewardship of this land. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Mejia. Trustee Marks? Oh, trustee Mejia. Okay,
I just did.
this trustee Mejia was speaking and it confused me. Trustee
Trustee
Mejia.
Maestas going up. Well, first of all, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that. And in that note, I wasn't gonna start with that first, but I think I'm kind of inspired me to start with that a little bit. I know we've been beginning to do some conversations about potentially naming the facility that we have at Tuolumne. And I think it is kind of aligned with the opportunity for us to really think through, well, what would be a good name to represent the community? And I know historically, I know folks that don't know the community where Tuolumne is at, it's considered no man's land. They call it all different kinds of names. So I think it represents a great opportunity for us to think as a board, what would be a name that represents the community that resides in the students and how they feel represented. So I just thought it was like, Maestas kind of set it up perfectly by doing that. And I think it's very important. I think representation and all those things are very, very important for our communities and just for the whole being of our students, for the mental health, for everything, for how they feel themselves represented and all that. So I'm excited that we're entering that process. And I know it's going to be, there's some procedural things we have to do, but I'm excited of that opportunity to hear the voices of the community, students, and of course, our voices as well in that process. Secondly, I want to give a shout out. I know South Modesto for the longest time, and a lot of our schools live in county pockets that don't have sidewalks, and that's been something that's been around for years. And I know our students struggle a lot to get to school. Talking about attendance, that also relates to that. When it rains, like streets get completely flooded, and I just want to give a shout out because finally, around Henshaw, I want to recognize the board members that were there. And I'm sure they're going to talk about it as well. But finally got sidewalks, and it was just an endearing moment. I want to give a big shout out to one of the teachers there that I know was contacting us, our communication staff. I mean, it was just an awesome celebration there. I want to just shout out one of the persons that I know was leading. That was Armando Mendoza from the school that was leading that effort. And I'm just excited. You should see, if you haven't gone to South Modesto or to Henshaw, please go out there and you'll see this new sidewalks, and so our children are going to be walking safe to school, which is awesome. That my eyes got to see it. I know we've been talking about it for so long, but I wanted that. And then, of course, I just want to say that it was fun. I got to see the band, all the incredible stuff that the kids are doing at Enox as well. So, of course, I'm not going to say the score because I'm sure you can look it up, but it was just great fun. And just on a personal note, my son is definitely considered attending potentially Downey as one of the schools for him to go once he gets to high school. So excited all the way around, but just it was a personal treat there as well.
Thank you, trustee Mejia. All these M trustees are all in a row, confusing me tonight. Now we'll hear from trustee Marks.
Yes, thank you so much, President Brown. So just two items I'm going to talk about that I've attended was the Clergy Council, and it was an honor to be able to introduce Sharokina Shams, our new Chief Information Officer, at the Clergy Council meeting. And it was an awesome meeting, and it was just pleasant to have her there and be able to meet everybody. They all loved her, so it'll be great to continue on with that new relationship. So thank you for attending that. And that's with the Modesto Police Department. That's their Clergy Council. And then and they also are planning a youth summit in the spring with Lieutenant Payne. And so he's working, I guess, with our school district and the Sheriff's Department and MPD. He's with MPD. And then lastly, I just wanted to talk about Parents Leading Change. We had a meeting this last week. We're planning a parent forum. And so if you think about it, it would be awesome if you could attend. It's going to be this Thursday, October 26th at 5:30 at Downey with light refreshments. And so we're looking forward to seeing how many parents will be able to come. We'll have 10 speakers there. And so looking forward to it. Some staff, some community members. It's going to have a lot of great information that was shared by our president, Jocelyn Cooper, at our last meeting. So if you can, or get the word out, that's what we need. So we hope a lot of parents come. That's all.
Thank you, trustee Marks. Now trustee Daly.
Within the last week, I had the privilege of meeting the president. Not of the United States, though. The president of Lakewood Elementary and her team. There was, I'm going to say, about 20 students there, and they all introduced themselves and their job title. It was amazing. I didn't take notes, so hopefully I got the information correctly because I really wanted to engage in the students. They had great questions. I was impressed with their questions, but the big thing that I was impressed about is each of them, there was 4 of them that presented that had strong ideas about, one, a male program that they utilize, a buddy program, and they want to start incorporating the high school students into that so they can mentor the younger kids. But they do that at the school, and they're getting Home Depot, I think, they said another one, to get mailboxes for each of the classrooms. And they're doing, it's old-fashioned written letters. I think it was great. And then I met a young man who's involved with the inner school council and wants to get the elementary schools involved. He presented last year, I think around October, in reference to some lunch things. He was the president at the time, and now I think he's chief of staff. I could be wrong about that. Mr. T there at the school could correct me with anything. They have a recycling program that they're meeting with Modesto City in reference to making sure that they have their compost and everything separated. And one of the students had calculated how much they would make in a year if each student recycled just once a day. So they're really grasping that concept. Their treasurer is working on understanding spreadsheets. She spent some time in the office with one of the office team in order to understand spreadsheets and how she could help with the finances. And then she also had questions about marketing, which is not my area of expertise. However, we had a little bit of conversation. I thanked Mr. T for inviting me because I said, this is exactly, there's those moments like graduation. These are the things that help move to the next level, because being in this position is not very easy. But those students actually made that day was amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Trustee Daly. Next, we'll move to Vice President Irvin.
Yes, wow, pretty busy as well. I was happy to go to the 37th Annual Edible Extravaganza with the Center for Human Services. That's always a great event to go to. Very good food and interaction with the community folks and seeing all the wonderful things that the center does, including the work they do for our district. So it was a really, really well-attended affair. I was a little upset because I bought a whole lot of raffle tickets and I didn't win that one thing.
Donated to a very good cause.
Yeah, donated to a good cause, yes. But won nothing. Also, I was at the MCS, our Budget Advisory Committee meeting, sitting in for our president, Mr. Brown. And it was really nice to be able to sit in on that to see how our budget is doing and constructed and allocated, and just being able to see that process firsthand. Also attended the special board meeting that previous board members mentioned as well. Also was a joy to be able to go to the 40th anniversary of the Hispanic Education Conference at MJC. That was instituted by Dr. Juan Alvarez. And when I was with the district, I was on that committee for 10 years, helping to get our students and helping coordinate our students to go to the conference for 10 years. And Dr. Alvarez was one of the ones who got me to come over to start teaching Black history at MJC as a part-time instructor, him and Al Smith. And so I got a chance to really develop a relationship with him. They presented him with the Legacy Award because he was the founder of the Hispanic Education Conference, but his son received it on his behalf. So I had great speakers. We had a lot of students there from Modesto City Schools. Workshops were really good workshops, and they had a really good keynote speaker there from the Los Angeles area, originally from El Salvador. And so it was nice hearing his journey and his story. So it was a really well-attended event as well. And also attended their HBCU tour meeting with Ms. Fallon Ferris, and planning the tour in the spring. So another positive moment here, planning for our students. And that was about it for me. And so, thank you, President Brown.
Thank you, Vice President Irvin. Now Trustee Lopez.
Good evening, everyone. So, as Trustee Mejia mentioned earlier, we were very fortunate to be at the celebration for the Hanshaw Community Sidewalks. I want to go a little further. I know he mentioned teacher Armando Mendoza, which was a great help setting this up. There were former teachers, even former board member, and helped me with his first name.
A very famous name, Paul. Paul Newman.
Paul Newman.
Yeah.
He was there, and he was sharing with us how he was there when they broke ground on Hanshaw back in 1991, some 2 days ago, right? No time. But he was mentioning that the principal that they had at the time and some of the board members really were wanting to echo sidewalks back in 1991. So here we are 32 years later, and we're getting sidewalks in Hanshaw. So one can say, it was a long wait, but we focus on the positive that they're there and that we're going to have those hopefully for a really long time. We also want to mention that Supervisor Chance Condit was present, and he was instrumental along with some of our state officials to get that funding for that. And that sidewalk was constructed by community. So the community took upon itself and help out in building those. And like we mentioned, like it was mentioned there, a lot of individuals throughout time have been advocating for sidewalks, not because of anything other than we want people to feel safe in their community. Sidewalks also are a good indication of incorporation to the city, which in this case they weren't, but hopefully it's one step closer to that goal for that community, that they fall within the city boundaries. And from our aspects as board members, if you guys all heard about the poem, Because I Didn't Have a Pencil, it just says all these things that the kid didn't have once he got to school, or what he had to do because once he got to school, and the teacher was upset because he didn't have a pencil. So many times, what we see from our students is the outcome of a lot of things that didn't or did happen at home. So even in that aspect to this, kids that couldn't get there on time or could get there at time but had to be sitting in the classroom with wet feet because it rained that day, that could really impact something just more than wet feet. For myself and for many other community members, to whoever made this happen, we thank you. And just know for community that from our side, on the advocacy portion of it, however we can be of instrumental, or I can be of instrumental to further that conversation of how can we get more streets, sidewalks, or gutters, or incorporation. It's the intent that we want for communities such as Hanshaw's.
Thank you. Forgive me, I have a list as well, and I'll try to keep it short.
When you finish, I have one more.
Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to say, as Trustee Lopez was, I worked at Henshaw. I came on campus in November of 1998. And I remember the fight then to try to continue with the fight to get the sidewalks. But my recollection is that students would step in a puddle, and like Trustee Lopez said, their feet would be wet. But most of the time, their whole pants would be wet, because what happens when the water gets on your clothes, it absorbs it. And by the time they get in there in class, they're looking like they wet themselves or things like that. And I always used to ask Ed, who was the principal down there at the time, what do you do? And they would try to have, clothes, something for them to put on, but more often than not, they didn't. And sometimes students would have to go home and miss a day of school because they were wet from, like I said, they just stepped in a puddle and it may have just got the fringes of their pants. But then next thing you know, by the lunchtime or even before that, their whole pants are soaking wet in class. And I know from experience, my son was one of them, but I had to get on him because he went to Henshaw. He jumped in the puddle, because that's stuff boys do, 7th, 8th grade, and he had to be sent home, because pants are all wet. But that's what the kids, the students and the families there had to go through for all these years, to navigate the South Side without the sidewalks. And now they, have been, blessed to have sidewalks to be installed, so they don't have to worry about some of the things that other communities don't even think about. So I just want to, point that out, and it was nice to be there to be able to see and witness that event happen. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you. So I just want to point out how engaged our board members are in things happening in the community, and we really feel empowered when we're able to be among our constituents and really celebrating good things that are happening. I too was at that sidewalk celebration, and from the moment that I came on the board, I started advocating when I realized that we didn't have those sidewalks. And I've been with other board members at various community meetings trying to figure out how we were going to fix this problem. And so exciting to see it happen. And my feeling as I was there was this is just the beginning. We've only just begun because we have more neighborhoods that need those sidewalks. We cannot celebrate completely until we have every student able to walk to school without getting wet feet. And so we've only just begun, and we will continue to lobby for that equity for every one of our kids. That celebration was only part of many great things that happened in our community, celebrating the Latino Heritage Month. And we had dancers and performers. We had a wonderful meal together with the community, and it was a wonderful celebration. I also attended another celebration event that was the night market, and the Cesar Chavez organization locally presented at the Red Event Center. It was fun to celebrate culture and be there among the community that evening as well. I also was able to see at our previous board member, Gladys Williams, invited us to attend a filming that was presented downtown, and I'm having a hard time remembering the name of the film, but the content was basically healing our nation and overcoming hate. And very positive things were presented with ideas of how different groups, not only religious groups, but community groups, nonprofits, and all schools and every aspect or every portion of our community needs to work together to overcome hate. And we can do that together. So that was a great event. I also was asked a while back to chair an evening that was presented by the Boy Scouts of America to honor our former board member and current mayor of the city, Suze Wallen, as the Distinguished Citizen of the Year. And so it was great to have people from the district representing us and supporting her in that honor that she received that night. Lots of things happening, and we have exciting things that continue to happen. Great event happening tomorrow, honoring the district and recognizing the fact that we've received all of our buses. So another great celebration event for great things that are happening within the Destination District. So thank you all for bearing with us as we share our excitement about what's happening in Modesto and our ability to engage with the community. Let's move now to the next portion of our agenda, which is recognitions. And this is our first opportunity to introduce our new CCO. Help me, Cindy, what is the Chief Communications Officer? Okay. This is Ms. Sharokina Shams, and we turn the time over to you.
Thank you so much, President Brown. Good evening, Board Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, fellow members of the Cabinet, and of course, our MCS family, staff, and community who are here tonight. This is one of my favorite times of this meeting because this is our chance to recognize our students, our teachers, and our staff for their hard work and their dedication and their innovation. Before we begin with tonight's recognition, I would like to take a minute to mention on tonight's consent agenda is a proclamation recognizing the month of October as National Filipino American History Month. Filipino Americans make up one of the largest Asian American ethnic groups in the U.S., and the earliest documented evidence of Filipinos in the continental U.S. occurred in the month of October, on October 18th, 1587, when mariners called Luzones Indios under Spanish command landed in Morro Bay, California. So it makes October the perfect time to promote and reflect on Philippine history and culture and provide our community the chance to appreciate the contributions of Filipino Americans. You are encouraged during the month of October to observe this month with ceremonies and activities and learn much more about our Filipino American community. Now, for tonight's recognition. Tonight we are celebrating an outstanding scholar, 11th grader Yalda Walid, for the character trait of courage. Here to read the nomination is Career Technical Education Instructor Ruth Nall. Also here tonight in support is Principal Sarah Cox. Let's have all of you come up and face the audience while Ms. Nall tells us more about Yalda. Yalda, you're welcome to bring your parents up too.
Okay, I am Ruth Nall. I nominated Yalda Walid for the character traits of courage and initiative for her heroic actions. She was working at a local restaurant and recognized a woman in distress. Yalda saw the signs that the woman was choking and immediately stepped in to assist. After a couple of Heimlich maneuver thrusts, the food was dislodged, allowing the woman to breathe freely. Yalda kept her composure and took command of that situation. She applied the CPR skills that she had just been trained to do 5 days prior. This was a wonderful display of courage and initiative that Yalda is truly deserving of this Character Ed recognition. Congratulations, Yalda.
Let's have you all come over here and take a picture. Let's get a picture with Superintendent Noguchi. Come on up, Mom. You too. All right, on. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you, President Brown. That concludes tonight's recognition.
Thank you, and well done, Yelda. Have a good evening. So next we'll move on to item A8, which is the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any comments from the public regarding items that are on this consent agenda? Seeing none. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda tonight? I saw Trustee Lopez raise his hand first, so I'm going to honor him, and second by Trustee Mejia. Those in favor? Aye. And seeing all participants, that was unanimous. The next item is the approval of the order of discussion action items. Do I hear a motion to approve the order of discussion action items?
I second.
Motion by Trustee Mejia, second by Trustee Marks. Those in favor? Aye. And once again, that was unanimous. Thank you. And now this takes us to the period for public presentations. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting and showing interest in our schools. I have only one card. Are there others? Just the one, okay. So as I call your name, please come to the podium. We have this evening Debbie Martinez. Welcome,
Good
Debbie.
evening, President Brown, members of the governing board, Dr. Noguchi, good evening, Superintendent, members of the cabinet. My name is Debbie Martinez. I represent community. I am founder of We Are La Raza Parents Union. I have some comments and I have a concern. Comments would be I'm half Filipino. So I didn't know that they also have Mexican heritage, and so I'm going to double dip on that one this month because I also got an award for the Mexican heritage acknowledged by the County Board of Supervisors for We Are La Raza Parents Union, just for being actively involved with community. I don't have a funding, don't get a paycheck. I just do it because it's just who I am and my DNA of serving my community for 40 years. I do have a concern. My concern would be I haven't been to the podium, and this is why. I really appreciate when I'm able to pick up the phone and Mark calls me back and Tim calls me back, and I'm able to handle and navigate the situations that arise. And if I need a board member, I will call one. I call Homero and I call Jolene. Unfortunately, I don't really call the rest of you. I don't have no need to. So tonight, I'm just going to present on good stuff, and the concern would be I'm finding that when I'm having to unpack to repack at a school site, it's kind of conflicting because on one hand, I sit with the equity team and we're doing such good things there, and then something derails at the school. And so when it derails at the school, I'm coming before the governing board because I'd like for you guys to be my voice now. What I need over there at the schools is reports. I need incident reports, accident reports, suspension reports, because we cannot do due process. We cannot do appeals because we don't have our reports. Everything is he said, she said to the parents. Once I get there and I start requesting because I know what to request, then it happens. And that shouldn't happen that way. Under customer service, families should be able to get what they request without having community to intervene. I also have pictures because County Board of Supervisor Chance Condit and State Senator Maria Alvarado Gil were out there to present the check that gave us the sidewalks for the south side. I was part of that team. Took us a long time, but we did it. And I have pictures to prove we have that check. So that's 32 years of community work. So I'm really proud of that one. Also, Mr. Maez, we did our town hall meeting over in Ceres. We pulled in 200 families Charlock did their first town hall meeting. They pulled in 160 families. I'm still waiting for MCS to open up district so that we can have town hall meetings and that the governing board and that the district present town hall meetings. They work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Again, although we're not able to engage in discussion or take formal action on items that are not on the agenda, we thank you for following protocol and addressing the board and for taking time to share your views with us this evening. So next, we are honored to hear from our student board representative, her report. Our student representative, Ms. Jifa Ukwaye. Please present to us.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope you've all had a good, restful, or eventful weekend, whichever one sounds better. I do have to warn you, this is a long one, so please bear with me. Okay, so the Inter-High Council met last week where we discussed our district goals that we'll be renewing and the guiding principles that we'll be using to sunset COVID funding. There was a lot of great input and feedback from the students who really appreciated and wanted to emphasize the importance of getting student perspective on making sure that our programs are student-focused and on ensuring that there are clear and strategic ways in which to identify both student progress in career and college readiness and in identifying vulnerable students in our district. Many of the students also expressed wanting to take these drafts back to their schools so they can share them with their student bodies and get more student perspective. So I'm really looking forward to getting more both information out to the campuses and then getting feedback back so that we can use that to edit what we have and really make sure that it's working for everybody. As we near the end of our football season, Grigori, Modesto High School, Downey, and Enox have all reported having finished their homecomings and reported successful dress-up days and lunchtime activities during those homecoming weeks. Downey High School and Modesto High School CTE welding classes worked to create the new float frames that were used on our new all-weather tracks during the homecoming celebrations for the skits that the high schoolers did. So Downey is going to be hosting a celebration for those students and for all of their hard work at Downey High School. Our high schoolers also took the PSAT these past weeks, and Modesto High School and Johansen reported that those went well and there was a lot of student participation. So for everybody that took the PSAT, I'm sure it's such a relief that the test is over and all the nerves have passed and everything. And beyond this, our schools are continuing to celebrate their students and really keep the spirit up. Enox's HSA Club had a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration 2 weeks ago. Grigori High School had a culture day set up by one of their clubs on campus. And Downey had a Splash a Staff activity that raised over $400 for Chemo Crew, which is an organization that supports cancer patients going through chemotherapy. So it's very impressive and very nice to hear. And many of the schools have a lot of upcoming events to get excited for. Modesto High, Downey, and Grigori are hosting fall festivals for the community this week and this weekend. So be sure to go out and support their clubs, community vendors, and the school's ASB and campuses. And Grigori, Elliott, and Modesto High School are also hosting Red Ribbon Week celebrations this week with their FAST clubs on campus. And Grigori has even begun preparations for winter formal in December. Elliott has begun preparing for Love Modesto activities as well. And Downey is gearing up for Champion Athletics, which is coming to their school very soon. Additionally, many of our campus's Black student unions will be attending the Sacramento Black College Expo this weekend, where they'll get to learn about colleges and HBCUs and hopefully get some scholarships and even some acceptances on site from some of those schools that will be there. I've also been working with Mr. Arnold from Lakewood Elementary to develop a pen pal mentorship program with our high schools and an initiative to expand elementary student voice and develop awareness and skills in leadership, sustainability, and environmentalism among our elementary school students. So I'm very excited to continue working on this and continue working to bring these plans to fruition. And hopefully the next time Trustee Daly meets the Lakewood Student Council, they'll have even more to report to you. But they've really been working very hard and are taking great strides in creating an exceptional school experience for themselves and for their peers. And finally, Grigori, Downey, Davis, Modesto High, and Byers school dance production teams are joining together for the Collective Dance Show on November 9th, 10th, and 11th. So be sure to attend to support the MCS dance programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Student Board Rep Akwaye, and thank you for your leadership with all of our students and your voice here on our board. We appreciate you being with us. All right. Next, I'm going to check in with MTA. Do you have a report this evening? All right. Do I see anyone from CSEA who's here tonight? Don't see anyone. Next, we'll move on to item B4. This is a report on early childhood education, and our speaker will be Ms. Heidi Nunes.
Good evening, Board President Brown, trustees, Dr. Noguchi, cabinet, and members of the public. My name is Heidi Nunes. I'm the Senior Director of Early Childhood Education, and presenting with me this evening is Clara Nakai, who is our coordinator of our Family Child Care Home Network and our Early Head Start and our soon-to-be Infant Toddler Center. Tonight we're presenting on the growth and progress that continues to be made in early childhood education. Preparing our littlest learners is the foundation of the MCS vision, ensuring that every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. The purpose of my presentation this evening is to provide an update on the focused work in early childhood education. We will provide a department overview, share some of the professional development opportunities that have been and will be provided to staff, discuss the work that has been done to align with transitional kindergarten, or TK, share some of the impacts that TK expansion has had on ECE staffing and enrollment, and share the exciting news of our infant and toddler expansion that is in the works and opening soon. A large majority of the work in early childhood education is directly aligned with Goal 1, to increase academic achievement and ensure equitable access to enable all students to attain college and career readiness, to ensure that every student has a guaranteed instructional program, not by chance, but by design, as outlined in the instructional core vision. And we find this very important to provide this foundation in early childhood education. Early childhood education is a very large department that serves approximately 1,500 students when fully enrolled. The ECE team consists of 135 certificated, classified, and management staff members who work collectively to support our littlest learners and provide them with the foundational skills that will prepare them for TK, K, and beyond. Our programs include state preschool and Head Start that serve 3- and 4-year-old students in part-day and full-day programs. We currently have 29 part-day preschool classrooms and 17 part-day Head Start classrooms, as well as 3 full-day blended programs that serve families who have a verified need for childcare. We currently have programs at 18 sites across the district, including Pearson, Johansson, and 16 elementary schools. ECE also includes a Family Child Care Home Network, which serves approximately 150 infant through school-age children in private homes across the city. Our Family Child Care team supports these providers with developmentally informed curriculum and instruction and intentionally planned learning environments. This network is funded through the General Child Care and Development Contract with the Department of Social Services. And 6 of our providers are a part of the Early Head Start Child Care Partnership with the Stanislaus County Office of Education. Based on the feedback provided from our 2020 Federal Program Monitoring Review, our Family Child Care Network is considered a model program by the California Department of Education, which is something that we are incredibly proud of. Like the rest of Modesto City Schools, early childhood education is committed to providing professional growth opportunities for our certificated, classified, and management staff and all family child care providers. Our coordinators have worked diligently to create a robust professional development plan which allows all employees access to high quality and relevant professional development. This year, we have monthly professional development offerings in the areas of social emotional development and behavior support, early literacy, and early math development. ECE also hosts a new teacher and paraprofessional boot camp for all newly hired staff prior to each school year. This 3-day boot camp offers programmatic overviews for new ECE teachers, as well as explicit instructional and curricular support. We've also realized that there was a great need for our new and tenured paraprofessionals to receive professional development specific to their role in the classroom, so our coordinators and specialists created a boot camp for them to build capacity and provide support for our Head Start and state preschool paras. In 2022, Modesto City Schools applied for and was awarded the Early Education Teacher Development Grant, which supports workforce development in early childhood education and transitional kindergarten. This grant provides tuition support for MCS employees who are enrolled in institutes of higher learning to further their careers in ECE or TK. There are 3 tracks that participants can choose: early childhood education development for staff who are just entering the field and who are interested in becoming ECE paraprofessionals or teachers, current ECE teachers who have their bachelor's degree and are working towards earning their multiple subject credential to teach TK, or our current TK6 teachers who are interested in teaching TK and are working towards the required 24 early childhood education units that are required by the Department of Education. We currently have 15 participants enrolled and are recipients of this tuition support. MCS is also offering early childhood education coursework through the UC Merced ECE cohort. This program offers MCS employees the opportunity to take 12 foundational ECE units at no cost. This year, our cohort is at capacity with 30 participants being taught by Mary Fong, who's an MCS teacher, and it's held each week at Rose Avenue Elementary. Early childhood education programs, along with transitional kindergarten, make up the Universal Pre-K initiative that is being implemented by the Department of Education. It is critical that these programs are aligned to provide a solid foundation to ensure kindergarten readiness. To build this coherent system, over the last 2 years, ECE has worked towards having consistent curricula, similar instructional routines and procedures, aligned assessments, and the ability to analyze data and define trends to improve instruction in the classroom. Currently, ECE is implementing Second Step curriculum, which focuses on social emotional development and is used also by our TK and kindergarten classrooms. All preschool and Head Start classes are also implementing the Hegarty Early Pre-K curriculum, which teaches early literacy skills and phonological awareness, which precedes the Hegarty Pre-K that's taught in our TK classrooms. In math, the standards-based calendar, which is a major component of the TK-SWN curriculum, has been adapted to address the preschool learning foundations, and that's being taught in all ECE classrooms as well. The routines, procedures, and vocabulary is intentionally taught to teach number sense and operations in algebraic thinking, math standards, and they're consistent with the math instruction in all TK classrooms. Our coordinators and specialists have worked hard to ensure that our teaching and learning that occurs in ECE classrooms is intentional and aligned to that of the TK classroom to ensure students are leaving preschool and Head Start classrooms and are equipped with the social, emotional, literacy, and math skills needed to be successful in TK and beyond. With the expansion of TK and building of coherence pre-K through 2nd grade comes both the need and responsibility of building capacity of our pre-K and TK teachers, paraprofessionals, and administrators. We are currently providing 2 separate professional development series for our TK paras and administrators and have upcoming opportunities for our ECE and TK teachers, all specific to the teaching and learning that occurs in TK. This will be an ongoing need and priority for both CIPD and ECE as TK continues to expand and serve younger and younger students. Lots of acronyms. TK is currently in the 2nd year of the Universal Pre-Kindergarten expansion, and in 2025-26, students who turn 4 by September 2nd will be eligible to enroll in TK classes. This expansion has impacted early childhood education programs in that many of the 4-year-old students who would have attended preschool or Head Start are now enrolling in a TK program. We have decreased enrollment in ECE classes, and at some sites we've made programmatic changes to meet the needs of the families. Naturally, as TK expands enrollment for younger 4-year-old students, ECE will shift our focus to recruit and enroll younger children as well. There are programmatic requirements and smaller class size ratios that must be met when enrolling younger children. So these class sizes will need to be reduced to ensure that we are in compliance with both state and federal regulations. The Early Education Teacher Development Grant has been very successful in building this career pathway. I'm sorry, I think I might have said that already. Excuse me. Let me start again, I'm sorry. The Early Education Teacher Development Grant that I spoke of earlier has been very successful in building the career pathway for staff who are interested in teaching our littlest learners. This has been both a blessing and a barrier in that many ECE teachers have become interested in teaching TK. This year alone, we had 8 Head Start and state preschool teachers leave ECE to teach TK in Modesto City Schools and surrounding districts. This has definitely had an impact on our department. As we look ahead, ECE will continue to engage in strategic planning to ensure that we are meeting the needs of our community and adjusting our program offerings to meet and address the impacts of TK expansion. In order to do this, we are in the process of gathering input from our ECE staff, as well as surveying the community to determine how we can best serve children and families in Modesto City Schools. And now I will turn it over to Clara Nakai.
Good evening. I'm Clara Nakai, and I am the coordinator for the Family Child Care Home Network and our Early Head Start programs. I'm really excited to share the progress that we've made towards opening the Infant Toddler Center. ECE currently offers infant and toddler care in our family child care homes. However, there are not many centers in our county that offer infant toddler care. Infant toddler care is a statewide concern and has been identified as a need in our community. With the support of Richard Nance, the supervisor of M&O, and his team, we have been transforming a vacant preschool classroom at Robertson Road Child Development Center into an infant classroom on one side and a toddler classroom on the other side. The infant room will house 6 infants from 2 months to 24 months. The toddler classroom will house 12 toddlers, 24 months to 36 months. As we strive for quality of care, we will be using the Program for Infant Toddler Care, also known as the PITC approach, for the curriculum and instruction, which has a strong focus on building relationships with children and families. We look forward to the opportunity to build continuity of care so our infants and toddlers will continue to grow through Modesto City Schools programs. We've submitted the application for licensing and are finalizing the intentionally planned learning environments. We're hoping to be open by December 2023. This has been a long road, and I'm excited for MCS to take the next big step as we contribute to being the destination district. Our next steps will be to continue to provide intentional PD for all staff, including the family child care providers, ongoing strategic planning to support the needs of the community, recruiting and enrolling new families, open and expand infant toddler centers, and partnering with our own special education department to create full inclusion preschool classrooms.
Now we are available for public comments and questions.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the public? Ms. Martinez?
Hi, it seems like I haven't seen you forever. Good job. Debbie Martinez, I represent community, and I'm a grandparent of a preschooler. And my concern would be school climate. My concern is because we're getting them younger and younger and putting them from the cradle to the classroom, infants and toddlers, what do these carpets look like? Because I know that we had to change out the one over at Johansson. Thank you, Tim, because I was able to know that my granddaughter was able to play on a carpet that was clean like the one at her house. So my concern would be for school climate, if we can check to see how aged the facilities are, if they're within good standards, better than home, because, CPS goes to our homes and checks them. And so, I want to make sure that our children are safe, secure, and peaceful, and that the facilities are clean for them to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, comments or questions from the board? Trustee Maestas.
Thank you. This is really exciting, so thank you for this report. I have a couple of questions on the infant and toddler center expansion. What are the costs? Are there any costs associated for families that are interested in that?
It is a state-funded program, and so families do have to be working, going to school, or fall within those full-day parameters. And depending on their income, yes, there could be a small cost.
Okay. And then how do families get connected or enrolled into that? There's only, what, 18 spots?
Yeah, unfortunately, right now, until we open more.
Mm-hmm.
But they would contact the ECE department. We actually have an ongoing waiting list, and we pull from a county-wide waiting list as well.
So you already have a waiting list for that?
It's an ongoing waiting list
Okay.
for all childcare in the county.
Okay, and then can we get some information just on, maybe on the board report on, about the PITC approach? Just so I can get some information on what that is. I get always a little concerned about how much, there's definitely structure involved with littles, but how much like playtime that they have and social, and just like being a little kid rather than like, this is the math, this is the read, right? So I just want to know a little bit, because I don't live in this field. I may be an educator, but I don't know a lot about, early childhood education. So if I just can get some information on the PITC approach, that gives me an idea of what that looks like.
Absolutely, and that's what makes the PITC approach great. It is actually an approved curriculum through West Ed, which is owned by California Department of Education. And it is not what we are thinking, which is why it is built on building those relationships. It's more building relationships than it is setting down with numbers, because as you know, an infant and toddler, that's not going to work.
Right, and it's the same thing here on, I don't remember which slide it was. It was a slide that outlined some of the curriculum there was like math and early literacy with alignment to TK. Is that the same system, the PITC approach on that one as well?
PITC is for our infants and toddlers, but
Okay.
however, we are learning through play. That's really a big shift in TK.
Right.
And also, that's how ECE has been founded, and that's been the basis of early childhood education. And so in those classrooms, what looks like play is very intentional learning that's occurring. So there is that authentic opportunity for our students to play that has expanded to TK as well. And so that's something that it's been a shift for sure, but definitely something that's a focus now. And I'd love to invite you to come and join me and walk in some of our classrooms too, so we can explain
I
some
would
of that.
love to do that.
That would be fantastic.
That would be awesome. I would love to go and take a look at some of the TKers. And also, can you give me some more information too on what the TK
Absolutely.
looks like in that too? Oh my, now I'm excited to go visit some little kids.
We'd love to have you. And once we get closer to opening the infant and toddler, we'll definitely have a ribbon cutting ceremony and start to advertise. But right now, we're in the licensing stage, where licensing has some very specific regulations that we have to follow. So prior to getting families excited about enrolling in our programs, we want to make sure that our facility is up to par according to those regulations. But then we will certainly have we have Sarah Cromwell, who is our enrollment coordinator, who's done a fantastic job. If you're at the DMV or at the movie theater, you might see it on the side of a city bus. There's lots of advertising going on for ECE programs for Modesto City Schools across the city.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes, thank you very much for the report. Probably gonna ask maybe very obvious questions, but I'll go ahead and ask them. So, as my trustee Maestas mentioned, this is not my area of expertise, but very excited about it. But the Robinson Road Child Development Center and having those classrooms for infant and for toddler, how many similar programs are out there in the county? Do we have a?
So there are none at our other partner districts in the county. We don't have any infant toddler programs. There are in homes, correct, Claire? Correct me.
I believe there are a couple of infant toddler programs run through Early Head Start, maybe at the county, through Stanislaus County Office of Ed. I don't know exactly how many.
We can get that information.
I could get that for you.
Okay, I'm guessing with that answer is probably far in between.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
definitely a need in the county.
Yes,
And not something that many school districts embark in.
definitely. And as our community member Debbie mentioned, I mean, now we're doing Cradle to, right? And so it'd be interesting to monitor these children through long term. Like what's that effect of just, even if it's playing through learning through play, right? And spending time at having these programmings through our schools, what does that entail and how that looks like when we talk about wanting to work on literacy rates, right? And getting our kids up to reading level by the 3rd grade. You know, this might be a good start of that. So I'm looking forward to what comes out of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Student Board Representative Hakwai?
Hey, thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing so far. It's very exciting to see the strides that we're making here. I had a couple questions just about, you mentioned concerns about keeping people into the ECE programs and working with that. I wondered, as we have like CTE programs that work with childhood development and those sort of programs, is it possible for us to get students participating in these programs? For example, the new facility at Robertson Road, would it be possible for us to get students who are maybe in childhood development classes to go and work at those facilities and just learn more about ECE, whether it's through the new teacher professional boot camps, the students can go to those boot camps, shadow them, learn a little bit more about those things, just to get student participation from the high school level so that they have awareness of these career paths. Is that something that we can do? Or
That's actually something that's in the works right now. I've been working with Senior Director Rachel Barkus, doing a job shadowing with our sites that have child development programs. And we have teachers in our ECE program that are interested in having these students come and volunteer. And that way they can get a real life experience of what ECE looks like in the classroom, and it counts as part of their child development studies as well. So yes, something that is in the works and actually should be happening very soon.
Great, thank you. Trustee Daly.
I have questions that kind of build upon each other. So how many years have we been doing the ECE programs? And then it's a two-part. So how many years have we been doing the ECE programs, and how many years have we been doing the social emotional learning?
I believe that ECE, I can only speak for the family child care, but we've been doing this since the 1980s. There's been a family child care network in process that long ago through Modesto City Schools.
And the social emotional learning has been?
Social emotional learning is actually part of the provider's curriculum already, and they use Second Step as their curriculum.
And also in our Head Start and State preschool classrooms as well.
Okay, so the reason that I'm asking those is because Trustee Lopez already alluded to the fact that it would be nice to be able to follow these kids. However, we've been already doing some of those things. And so are we following the children who have been through these programs to be able to see that this is actually in fact working?
So yes, we are. This is the second year that our students' information is in our district dashboard, or in our, in Performance Matters. That's something that's new because the assessments were totally separate and not aligned based on the programmatic requirements. So this is something that we've been working on with Ann Bonilla, who was in IETS. She supported us in getting the CASEP in there, which measures some of the social emotional measures. And so this is an opportunity for us to now be able to track these students and identify trends and analyze just how effective these programs are for preschoolers as they articulate through the grades. So yes, something that has not been done in the past, but is in something that's new that has been started, that we will be able to see the fruits of this.
Okay, so I do also want to, this is more of a comment, I do want to validate the fact that teachers have enough on their plate, so adding the social emotional learning to all of that I think is a bit too much. In addition, their education does not appropriately cover the social emotional learning when you don't highly involve the parents. and we don't have enough parent involvement, in my opinion.
Vice President Irvin.
Yes, my question kind of, I was at one time, had that CTE, Child Development Certificate at one time. Has since lapsed many years ago, but I did have it. But my question is actually probably on the same lines of Trustee Lopez and Trustee Daly, in terms of what are they using to gauge the developmental process, to measure, so when they get to the point where, before, third grade, that's the critical area for reading, So in this infant toddler process, what is used to gauge their knowledge and ability, being that young, to be able to say, you know what, they're on the pathway. These are the things that we're measuring and we're seeing, we know what those tools are at the elementary and secondary level, to use to gauge that. What will we use to gauge that same process for the littles, the infants and the toddlers?
So we use what's called the Desired Results Developmental Profile, the DRDP, for infants, toddlers, and then preschool age students. And so that's an assessment that, it's an observational assessment that starts when they're infants and toddlers, and it goes all the way up through preschool age. It even goes beyond to TK and K, something that the state is working on, aligning the DRDP, the Preschool Learning Foundations, and the Common Core Standards. So that's in the works at the state level, so that we can see how that data articulates as they move through grade levels. But it is something that we've used in our department for years.
Okay, and so that will give us an assessment as best possible of the developmental progression of the littles.
Yes, it identifies different developmental milestones and each child's progress towards meeting those milestones, and then gives specific examples of how we can support and scaffold them to meet those developmental milestones, and then if they're beyond that, how we can extend and enrich. So yes, it does that exactly.
Is there a possibility that students or the littles can be actually identified early on enough to be, maybe, show signs of autism or, other disabilities, so to say, that preclude that early in development?
We aren't professionals in where we can diagnose that, but if there are concerns can be, can arise during that assessment process, and then that's when we would collaborate with our special education department, because they really are the experts when it comes to those. And so it can be an early identifier of concerns. We collaborate with special ed to ensure that we give the children the right supports that are needed.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, the early identifier.
Yes,
Yeah.
early intervention for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick questions regarding the new infant and toddler center expansion. 6 and 12 is a great start, but certainly kind of a drop in the bucket.
Absolutely.
Do we have any feel for what the potential need is if we were to expand to meet that need?
So facilities has really been the barrier that we've had so far. We started out with different sites in mind, and then Robertson Road we were able to work with maintenance and operations to do the renovations that were required. That's really been the barrier as far as funding is concerned and the facility renovations, because there are such specific requirements. However, we're certainly looking at expanding once we get this up and running.
Thank you. Now, I have a question that maybe goes in a different direction, and so steer me away from it if it isn't your area of expertise. But I'm sure we could identify children who come into our education system that have serious challenges that they're overcoming, whether that be introduction to drugs or alcohol in vitro. Can we identify and target students who would benefit most from this early intervention? And how can we get them in these programs?
So those children have priority when it comes to registration. When it's identified during the enrollment process, they have priority as far as eligibility. And so if we have a child who is like a CPS referral or foster care, something like that, they have priority. first. The other part of that is with these assessments that we do and building that communication, like you said, with families and really building that strong, trusting relationship with families so that we can learn more about the family and the environment the child is growing up in, then we can provide that support. So I would say yes. Some of these, the ages and stages questionnaire that we do as well is another way that we can assess some of these and provide early intervention upon assessment.
Thank you, and we appreciate this, this report and all the good things that are happening, the opportunities that you're addressing, and the growth that we see happening. So Ms. Nunes, and I didn't catch your name, sorry.
Clara Nakai.
Yes, thank you very much for this presentation. Eva, did you have a question?
You asked my question. So,
Okay,
yeah,
all
sorry.
right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overlook you. I wasn't looking at my screen. All righty. So, engaged in the presentation, I lost my place on the agenda. Next, we're going to look for an approval of the proposed revision of board bylaw 9270, conflict of interest. And our presenter is Stephen Beauchesne.
Good evening, trustees of the board, Dr. Noguchi, and members of cabinet. I present for your review and consideration a draft update of Board Bylaw 9270 regarding conflicts of interest. This board bylaw has been updated to add a single section at the end regarding district action to be taken in the event a conflict of interest has either been identified or if one is found to have occurred after the conclusion of a district investigation. This update has been submitted as a result of a previous federal program monitoring review which examined this specific bylaw and found that it lacked these indicated provisions. After notification that this bylaw needed updating, the draft language was created and a memorandum was provided to the FPM monitors notifying them of this update and its consideration for inclusion in this bylaw. The FPM monitors found that this memorandum was sufficient for purposes of their review, and since then the bylaw has not been updated. It is now before the board for review of the newly added language. At this time, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to address those.
All right, do we have any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none. Any questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to approve the proposed revision to Board Bylaw 9270, conflict of interest? Motion by trustee Daly, second by trustee Marks, and those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I see all participation, that was unanimous. And we'll now move to item, thank you, Mr. Beauchesne. Move to item B6, which is a report on new teacher recruitment and onboarding, and presented by Sarah Gill and Lori Hewlin.
Yes, Trustee Brown, I'll start. Thank you. We definitely are excited to have the opportunity to present this report on our new teacher recruitment and onboarding. And I don't know who has the clicker. We can go to the next slide, though. But all the work, of course, reports to the board is rooted in our district vision, the collective MCS vision. Every student graduates with the knowledge, skills, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. And I think we all know that's not possible unless we have highly qualified staff, teachers in the room to guide that learning with our scholars. So we're excited to be part of that process. And the next one, the purpose of the presentation is to review our new teacher recruitment and onboarding procedures to assure efficiencies. And this was really rooted in District Goal 5.5, which during the last strategic goal revision and updating process, there's a lot of department input in creating this new goal around developing systems and structures to ensure efficient hiring timelines to meet school site and department staffing needs. This is not our annual diversity report, which we will be coming back and bringing to you in the spring, but really focused on the board's interest in what can we do to improve our processes for optimizing the hiring procedures, which we knew historically needed some work. And there's been a ton of work We're very excited about the collaboration with CIPD Department and the IETS Department. And we'll begin with the HR portion, then hand off to CIPD and Senior Director Sarah Gill.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Noguchi, and Cabinet. The Modesto City Schools hiring workflow has been under extensive review and revision during the past year to increase efficiency in hiring timelines to better support the needs of our scholars and improve the onboarding experience of our new hires. Utilizing staff projection metrics, changes in hiring timelines through negotiations with our labor partners, and workflow analysis at every step of the hiring process has yielded a 21% reduction in the hiring workflow timeline during the past year. Not too long ago, the entire hiring and onboarding process was entirely a paper-driven process in which school sites routed hiring forms through district mail, and new hires were brought to the district office to complete hours of paperwork. We have worked diligently to develop a top-tier onboarding process. The implementation of digital onboarding has greatly enhanced the experience of our new hires. Onboarding forms were reduced by 50%, and the process is now virtually paperless to remove barriers and expedite the hiring process. Digital onboarding has proven to increase efficiency for not only new hires, but for staff as well. In addition, the digital onboarding content provides videos, including a personal welcome video from Dr. Noguchi, as well as training videos and other resources and information for staff. Let's take a moment to view part of the new hires onboarding experience by watching this video.
You dressed for the occasion.
Annie.
Welcome to Modesto City Schools. I'm Dr. Sarah Noguchi, and I'm the superintendent for this great school district. Thank you for choosing Modesto City Schools as your next place of employment. We're really excited that you're here. Modesto City Schools prides itself on being the destination district for Stanislaus County. What does Destination District stand for? Really, Destination District is a place where employees choose to come to our district because it is an absolute awesome place to work. It's a place where parents choose to have their students attend school because they know they will have a quality education. And it's a place where our students thrive and they achieve to great levels. Your role in the Destination District is really to help us create the right conditions for our students each and every day. Be that in the playground, on a bus, in the classroom, as a counselor, as a teacher, you name it, you're here to help us create the right conditions for our students so all of our students are successful. So thank you for choosing Modesto City Schools, where every student matters and every moment counts. Thank you.
I think you would agree that new additions to the onboarding experience such as this provide a personal touch and set the tone for a positive onboarding experience. Teacher recruitment pools were active starting in December 2022 through the spring, with 110 teacher candidates interviewed by HR senior directors, of which 53 recruits were hired. You will also note the picture at the bottom of the slide from our new MCS hiring event from last year, which we would like to highlight in the next slide. MCS held a certificated hiring event in January to recruit PK-12 candidates, including special education educators. During this 2-hour event, 14 teacher contracts were signed and an additional 47 top-tier candidates were identified for future consideration and employment. Internal hiring rounds began in January, completed mid-February, where in recent years, those may have concluded as late as April or May. Following internal rounds, we were able to fill almost all remaining vacancies at that time with signed recruits from recruitment pools and hiring events. The ability to meet the hiring needs of Modesto City Schools would not be possible without recognizing the positive relationships with our labor partners. The mutually beneficial partnership in developing contract language to shorten hiring timelines and provided early notification incentives has been possible due to open communication with both MTA and CSEA during the previous years. We continue to remain active and deliberate in attending 11 recruitment job fairs and outreach events, as there is always ongoing hiring needs due to new retirements, transfers, promotions, and resignations. Through these efforts, 30 more new teachers signed contracts by May than in the previous school year, and the number of vacant teacher positions on the first day of school was 40% less this year compared to 2022. Starting the year with only 12 open teaching positions is a significant feat. As you can see on this slide, we hired 149 teachers, 50 more teachers this school year compared to 2022. Furthermore, 40 other certificated employees, including counselors, nurses, job-embedded coaches, and inclusion specialists were also hired, bringing the total certificated new hires to 189 this year. We were able to manage the increased hiring needs due to the development of more efficient systems and structures in the hiring workflow, including onboarding. Onboarding new hires begins with human resources through the recruitment and hiring process and continues with training and supports provided by the CIP division. To share more about that, I'd like to introduce CIPD Senior Director Lori Hewlin. Thank you.
Okay, once we get them hired, we like to welcome them with a new teacher boot camp. We welcome our newly hired certificated staff by kicking off the year with our boot camp. This is a 5-day conference-style event focusing on the Modesto City Schools instructional core, curriculum, and classroom routines and procedures, as well as relationships and classroom culture. 2 of the days are electives, focusing on instructional strategies, tech tools, and how to unpack standards and other important instructional strategies, with as many as 15 options during each session. The next 2 days are focused on specific curriculum, supporting EL students, and the required technology platforms. This day, we can have as many as 20 options to be sure that we're supporting each individual teacher. The last day of boot camp is spent at the school site of the new hire. On that day, the site administrator provides important site-specific information. During boot camp, we also introduce new hires to our Modesto City Schools cabinet, site administrators, site administrative assistants, and all of our instructional coaches. The goal is to connect the new hires so they understand that there is tremendous support for them. When boot camp is over, the support doesn't go away. The week after boot camp is the week in which all teachers return to their campuses to engage in professional learning and to prepare for the new school year. During this week, coaches are out on campuses to provide support to our new teachers as they learn to navigate the school site and the curriculum. Then, during the first week of school, every campus is assigned an additional coach that checks on our teachers, paying special attention to our newly hired teachers. Coaches are there for real-time support before school, during the school day, and after school. This is also a time to reinforce the boot camp message that as a teacher in Modesto City Schools, you are not alone. There is tremendous support available. Our coaching and support does not end with the first weeks of school. In Modesto City Schools, we offer the incredible benefit of an in-house induction program. For our newly hired teachers that have just completed their preliminary teaching credential, they can participate in our induction program to clear their credential at no cost to them. By offering induction at no cost, we have removed the expense as a barrier. For our induction candidates, we pair each new teacher with a mentor teacher that has a same or similar credential. We provide training for the induction candidates focusing on the California standards for the teaching profession. As an induction program, it is required by the California teacher credentialing that we focus on learning these standards. Our mentor teachers, for them, we focus on how to develop positive coaching relationships. Professional development is provided in a variety of formats, from after-school workshops to full-day trainings to specific coach support. In addition, we support our interns. We pair each teacher with a mentor teacher that has the same or similar credentials, just like we do for induction. We provide training for interns that is focused on their specific needs. Because they are not yet induction candidates, we are able to tailor their support to their job-specific needs. Our interns come with a wide variety of experiences, so we are very prescriptive in their support. Again, the professional development is provided in a variety of formats, from after-school workshops, all-day trainings, and specific coach support. In addition to these, we have partnerships with CSU Stanislaus. One of those is with CSU Stan. We are working with the CTEP grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The goal of the grant is to determine how to best increase the number of Black, Indigenous, and people of color that are successfully enter and stay in the teaching profession. We are also working with the Department of Liberal Studies at CSU Stan to make it easier for college students to complete required observation hours at Modesto City Schools, with the goal of developing a relationship with those that are seeking a career in teaching so that when they're ready to enter the classroom, they think of us first. We further support this work to increase the number of students by increasing the number of student teachers within our Modesto City Schools. We are also working to support our own Modesto City classified employees that are interested in pursuing a teaching credential. Support is provided during monthly meetings in which we have MCS staff and staff from CSU Stanislaus to provide information, answer questions, and provide guidance. We are also capable of supporting participants financially through the grant. Some of our CSU Stanislaus partners that have attended are the counselors that work with people as they're applying so they know exactly what classes they need to take, as well as the director of the multiple subjects teaching program and a field services person that provides answers and information about what student teaching is like. By providing a robust continuum of support, our newest teachers know they are not alone when they come to MCS. Now we'll move to public comments.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public wishing to make comments about this agenda item? Seeing none, we'll turn it to the board. And I see that Vice President Irvin has comment.
Yes, the question I have is this is very well, before that, very good information to have, and it seems like we've come a long way in updating our recruitment strategies, which is good. My question relates to, do we do exit interviews? And if so, do we have data on some of the things, if we're a destination district, it's good that we, when people exit, to find out why they exit, what led to their exit, and things like that, if we have any data collected around that.
Yes, we do. We do conduct exit. It's an exit survey that employees can complete upon resignation or retirement to provide us feedback. So we do have that data.
Is it possible to get that data? Thank you.
Student Board Representative.
Thank you. I just had a question about if there's a way for us to really make sure that our new teachers get to interact not only with the coaches and fellow teachers on their sites, but to reconnect and build relationships with teachers from other school sites. If there's a way for us to do almost like another version of the new teacher training boot camp at the beginning of the year, midway through the year, so that there's more opportunities to reconnect with everybody and build those connections.
We don't actually repeat the boot camp because of the amount of time that it would take a teacher out of the classroom. However, as we hire teachers ongoing, we have 3 different sessions over the course of the year where we bring in our new teachers and run them through a mini boot camp. In addition, our induction and interns are brought in monthly to have meetings to maintain those connections.
And I had a second question about just part of the partnerships that we have with CSU Stanislaus to bring people to MCS. I think this might tie into just developing CT programs and things like that. But once again, is there a way for us to sort of guide MCS students into schools like CSU Stanislaus or MJC or UC Merced, so that we're guiding students through maybe getting their educational degrees, getting their teacher certifications, and then coming back to MCS as part of the hiring process?
So we have a couple of different ways that we do that. We do have a program in MCS called the Senior to Para Pathway, where we work with our seniors in our high schools across the district towards the end of the year to encourage them to participate as an employee in Modesto City Schools, working as a para, and employment can start as early as summer school. We also have a program part of the CTEP grant. There's two different, one of them is, there's two different programs focusing on future educators. One of them is at high schools. And I can't remember if it's Educators Rising, it is one of them, I just can't remember which one it is. So yes, we are working on that, and the goal will be for students that are interested in being involved, they will partner with an elementary school so that they can spend some time in elementary school campuses, getting an idea of what it's like to be in education.
I'll also add to that, Dr. Noguchi and I met last week with a Stanislaus State representative about different ways that we can partner, and we discussed things such as what current CTE programs we have that feed into teaching profession, as well as looking at options to build on that for a more robust program. And then that led to conversations about dual enrollment opportunities through Stan State as a way to be a draw for our kids to go to that university, which is so close.
Thank you, and thank you for this great report. So next item on the agenda, item B7, report on enrollment counts for 2023-24 as of September 1st. And this is Mr. Zierli.
Thank you, President Brown. Good evening, trustees. Tonight, you're going to hear a report on our 23-24 student enrollment as of September 1st. So we track our student enrollment, we record our student enrollment for the first 4 weeks of school, and then as of September 1st, we report that annually to the board as to the number of students that we serve. You'll also see grade level enrollment comparisons, inter-district transfer requests, IDTs. This number has been important to us, and you'll see why during the presentation. But these are students that either come to us from a neighboring district, or our students go to another district, one of our neighboring districts. Here again is our collective why, the Modesto City Schools vision, and it's important to know the number of students we serve and to accurately project, use those numbers to accurately project the numbers of students that we will serve into the future. Dr. Noguchi mentioned earlier, we had a slight decrease this year. Last year, this very same presentation, we were celebrating the first increase of students in our district in several years. We were hoping that trend would continue. Unfortunately, we were down 84 students from the same time last year. However, it's only a 0.284 decrease in our TK-12 student population. It's probably not even statistically relevant, but it is a decrease of 84 students. And the 9-12 reduction of 277 students is new to us at Modesto City Schools, and it wasn't projected, so we'll begin the process to determine why the 277 drop in 9-12 students happened this year in comparison to last year. An emphasis was placed on reducing the net inter-district transfer requests, and this year shows our continued progress towards that goal. Although the IDT in requests are down from 22-23, last year we had 294 students choose to come to Modesto City Schools. This year, 269 chose to come to us. But also the IDT requests out are down, resulting in a net deficit of 67 students this year. So when we look at the requests of students to come to us versus the requests of students to leave, We're at, if you look, 2 years ago, we were at 191 transfer deficit. This year, as of this point in time, it's a 67 student deficit. So significant emphasis has been placed on keeping our students instead of having them choose a neighboring district. And these numbers show the results of the efforts we put in and continue to put in to attract students to the destination district. Other positive changes for enrollment, you heard a report around PK, and we have expanded our TK offering. So every elementary school but one, Robertson Road, has a transitional kindergarten program at their site, at their neighborhood school. Robertson Road gets served at the next door school, Kirshen, so it's right there on the same property, but due to facility constrictions, we have the TK classroom for Robertson Road at Kirshen Elementary. We've also expanded our before and after school programs. Dr. Noguchi mentioned earlier about the 57 student increase for grades 7 and 8. We never see that. We don't traditionally see an increase in our 7-8 student population, much like we don't see a decrease in our 9-12 student population. So this is encouraging. Last year, we increased and expanded our junior high school activities and athletics, and we hope that this increase, we can tie back to that and continue to see that increase. Again, keeping our students here through junior high school instead of choosing to go somewhere else. Also building and expanding our alternative programs to meet our student needs, dual language, grade expansion for TK8, Modesto Virtual Academy, and then the ongoing focus on school facility improvements. Again, trying to do the best we can to make ourselves the destination district for families to choose to come here or stay here. Next steps, to continue the stabilization of our enrollment, continue professional development, to increase our academic performance, AB and IB program increases, evaluating future CTE expansion options. Again, more opportunities at our high schools for CTE programming, continued emphasis on customer service throughout the district, before and after school offerings for all students, junior high school activities and athletics. We want to, now that those have started, we want to continue to support those, continue to attract our 7th and 8th grade families to come here and stay here. Marketing program offerings, focus on secondary grades. We lost, the numbers show, we're down students at 9-12, so now we have our chief communication officer to work on a marketing program now that we can have for our 9-12 high schools. Continue to increase our dual enrollment opportunities with Modesto Junior College and UC Merced partnership. That is our report on student enrollment counts for 23-24.
Thank you, Mr. Zerly. Do we have any comments from the public on this agenda item? Seeing none, comments or questions from the board? Trustee Marks.
Wow, no one was on there, and then boop, boop, boop. I saw all the names come up really fast, so
You
it was
did it
funny. I
fast,
just happened to do it first. So I noticed that, and then I'll have a question, but I noticed that I know this wasn't in that report, but in our extra other information, that through TK through 8th grade, over these last 6 years, from 2018 until now, there was a decrease of 700 students in TK through 8th grade, but in high school, we increased by 500 students. So it was really an unusual trend to me, because usually if the elementary school is decreasing, the high school decreases. So the fact that we went up 500 students in the last 6 years in high school, because we went from 13,576 to 14,096 students. So it was about 700 students, but it's just a anomaly sometimes. So we are attracting students in high school, even though our elementary school has been decreasing, even though the numbers today that you shared were just a 1-year change from last year. So just looking at the trends, I like to look at trends just to see where we've been and where we're going. And we always used to look at the birth rate and say, okay, we know we're going to have a dip here, or we're going to have an increase. We're going to need to build more or put more modulars down because we have this many kindergarten students coming in 5 years. So we would always do that. But I wanted to know at some point, can we see where the students go to the districts around us? So are they, like, how many students are in the charter schools that are around us? How many are in private education? How many are being homeschooled? I know those are all tracked somehow. So if we can find that they live in our district, but they're going to other schools, so that might help us market better in what we're doing in the future. Can we do that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Great report, though. Thank you. I always like to see what's happening with the students and how it is. And that first month of school is always a challenge for us because I remember we used to send people out to knock on doors because we didn't know where the students went. You know, why aren't they in school? They're supposed to be here. And we had almost 1,000 students. That increased from the beginning of school day until September 1st. So I know it's still getting the word out that school starts in August. It doesn't start the day after Labor Day like some people think. So it's just really good that those students came in at that right time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice President Irvin.
Thank you, and my question is probably similar, along the same lines as Trustee Barks, but I want to know, do we ever survey or get an idea of why students left? You know, I know we talked about one in Human Resources, they do an exit interview. Is it some way to capture that data, both numerically and anecdotally, you know, why they left the district?
Yeah, Vice President Irvin, ironically, we have been focusing the last couple of years at the elementary and junior high. So we have quite a number of exit surveys from some of our families at that level. Based on the data that we saw here, which we weren't necessarily expecting, we'll be shifting that to also do exit interviews on the at the 912 level.
Okay, thank you, and great report. Like seeing the data, the numbers, they tell the story.
Yes. Thank you. Trustee Daly.
My question is in reference to the additional form. So help me better understand, it's really just a clarification, better understand the difference from projected and the difference from fall of 2022, because those are significantly different.
Yeah, we take a look, we have a process where we look at our cohort trends, meaning as ninth graders, how many 10th graders do we have? Do we gain, do we lose? We do that across all grade levels, and we come up with a statistical percentage based on a 3-year average, a 1-year average, a 5-year average. And so we use that trend to project out for future years. As it's been referenced a couple of times, and we also have not only Modesto City Schools elementary students, we have 7 additional feeder districts, elementary students that feed into us, that bring us our high school students as ninth graders. So it's not uncommon if the Modesto City Elementary enrollment's declining, we see increases in our neighboring elementary districts, and then that's why we've traditionally seen growth in ninth through 12th grade, because our neighboring feeder districts have that. So we use that analysis. We'll look at a 1-year difference, a 3-year difference, and try to determine what's real. Our high school, we've traditionally seen growth in our ninth grade population year over year. So we tend to believe in a 3-year historical average. That makes sense, but it could be an anomaly this year. That failed us. And so you see, we may want to look at, okay, now what's a 1 year? Next year when we project, what's 1 year versus 3 years? And what's the difference? Is this just an anomaly, or is this a trend we have ongoing? We'll have to work with our feeder districts to find out what they're seeing. But there are different factors we use to project that.
So because the projection of enrollment goes to then developing the budget.
Yeah, and just for further clarification, we're doing that right now. I mean, we're trying to do that so Human Resources can have an idea on how much staff we're going to need for next year. And so we're using these numbers right now to project what we think we're going to have in August of '24.
Thank you.
Trustee Mastis, Mr. Data.
Yeah. How much data do you get from our feeder districts and districts, elementary districts that feed into our junior high and high schools on their enrollment, either declines or inclines, to help us project high school? Because we have two different districts, and the high school numbers can be affected not only by our elementary numbers, but by the elementary numbers of the other school districts. This is why we might see an increase there when we don't see an increase in the other ones. But how much does that go into that projection?
It goes into, it's substantial because it's more than half of our high school population, or ninth grade population comes from our feeder districts versus Modesto City Schools. So we have to, and we have a great relationship with our feeder districts through Dr. Noguchi's leadership. We have a great partnership with them, and our planning department will reach out to them right now. They're reaching out to them right now, trying to get their information. It's easy for us. We have our information. We can put that in our spreadsheets and put out what our projections are for next year. But what we're missing right now is the 7 feeder districts, because not all of them do it after the 4th week. They may wait till CBEDS, which happens in October. That's their enrollment collection day. So it just depends on the feeder district, but we rely on their 8th grade numbers and also their numbers below to see, okay, is Sylvan declining? Is their K through 6th grade numbers declining, which means we're going to see smaller 9th grade students. So it compounds the problem because we're dealing with 8 different sets of data, but the planning department has it figured out pretty well.
Can we get a sense of, you can do this through a board report, I don't need it obviously now, just a sense of how enrollment is either increasing or decreasing in our feeder districts, just to get a sense of where we are in the city. And then my last question, or I only have 2 questions, I guess, my other question. There was you have here that there was a 57 student increase in grades 7, 8. I wonder if we can see how has Tuolumne impacted our numbers, if that has positively kept kids in our district by going to a K-8. I'd like to know if that's been effective and a model to something that could be done in a different way for other places in our district.
Yeah, we believe the data will reflect that, yes, because that neighbor series, and if you go just down the street, across the street from Tuolumne Elementary School, you're in Ceres School District. And we believe the data will reflect that we're turning that faucet off on the requests out in that area, but also our other junior high schools as well. We see, and we'll show the data, that between 6th and 7th grade, there was a significant decrease in what our 6th grade population was versus what our own 7th grade population was. So they had to be going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And now, again, the data this year shows that that's slowing down, and we want that to continue. But Tuolumne definitely, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you again, Mr. Zerly, and thank you for these great reports we've had this evening for our board meeting. Do we have any items to be placed on future board meeting agendas? Seeing none, do we have a motion for adjournment? Motion by Trustee Mejia, second by Vice President Irvin. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Let's adjourn. But before we leave, we would like to invite Antoinette Chambers to come forward if you're in the building. Is she hiding? We couldn't acknowledge you in the meeting because it wasn't on our agenda, but we would like to wish you a happy birthday. So let me grab something.